Today I'm going to be talking about intercultural communication. It is the exchange of information between individuals from different cultural backgrounds. The three things I'm going to address are Geert Hofstede's 6D model, Edward Hall's high versus low context, and MIT's article that offers a further insight on these topics. These are the 6 dimensions here on the right, and the ones highlighted in pink are the 4 that I'm going to be talking about. And when we talk about Edward Hall's ideas, we see how people rely on implicit versus explicit communication. The MIT article that I chose is Mexican and Americans Cracking the Cultural Code, a book. Chapter 4, I'm going to be talking about a different sense of space. Hofstede's 6D model, 4 dimensions in the United States that influence the culture. Individualism versus collectivism, power distance, masculinity versus femininity, indulgence versus restraint, and those are the 4 that I'm going to be talking about. Here in America, we are more individualistic. We are self-reliant, and we are taught from a young age to be independent and to take responsibility for ourselves and our own achievements. We also are individualistic when we talk about the relationships that we choose to have. We do this for our own personal gain, whether it's to find friendship, companionship, love, community, whatever it may be. We're doing it for our own good. And we also see this when we talk about competition. We want to be the best, and we do it for ourselves and for our own reasons. And then when it comes to our individual rights and liberties that we have here in the United States, we see it in our legal system. The next thing that I'm going to be talking about is power distance. Here in America, we have a relatively low power distance. There is specific power inequalities and hierarchical structures that we may see, but we still encourage equality. There is an open door policy when it comes to talking to our teachers, our parents, or anybody of higher up status. Using your voice here in America is not frowned upon compared to other countries. The next thing I'm going to be talking about is masculinity versus femininity. Here in America, we're more masculine dominant. We focus on competition and success, being tough, being resilient, and those are more male dominant traits inherently. And then I'm also going to be talking about indulgence versus restraint. Here in America, we have a high indulgence. We focus on the pursuit of happiness. We focus on indulging in good times and celebration. We see this during the holiday times. There's decorations and there's many things that you can spend your money on and apply to the economy here in America. We see this when we look at food courts and malls that people go to spend their money on clothes or food or whatever it may be. There's also a high indulgence in access to information here in America. For slide 3, I'm going to be talking about high versus low context. There is a high context here in places like Japan or the Middle East, and in America it is a low context. We're more explicit and direct, and we rely on getting the message across as fast as possible and in the most simple and straightforward way. We see this applied in the United States in business meetings or in customer service environments, or whatever it may be. We're very problem-solving framed, and we are trying to get the message across. A personal experience I would see would be working at a ski resort with J1s, which would be people from Chile and Peru. They are more subtle with their suggestions. They focus on nonverbal cues, and there's a shared understanding, whether that be in humor or in respect for hierarchy. They're very shared meaning based. The last thing I'm going to be talking about for slide 4 is the MIT article that I chose. It's from the course Communicating Across Cultures. The topic would be Mexico, and then I chose to do the book Mexican and Americans Cracking the Cultural Code by Nicholas Brealey-Pub, which was published in 2004. Chapter 4, A Different Sense of Space. They talk about power distance, individualism versus collectivism, And then we see this when we talk about our physical and social space within different cultures, which causes a breakdown in miscommunication within people. Overall, this is my presentation. Thank you so much for listening and being here, and I hope you learned something new. Have a great day.